Welcome to section 16, and in this section we're going to take a look at image uploads from our backend point of view, from our API. And let's take a look at the learning goals for this section. So first of all, we're going to review our options. Where can we store images for our application? And we do have choices. And what we're going to do is add a service once we've decided where we're going to upload our photos to. We're going to add a service into our infrastructure application or project so that we can actually upload photos to the service that we're going to use. And to give away a few spoilers in this section, we're going to be making use of a cloud service called Cloudinary, which specializes in image storage on the cloud. And if we do take a look at the photo storage options available to us, well, we could just use our database. But this comes with some downsides, and our database is not an efficient place to store files. The files are stored as binary large objects, and this is not a database speciality. Our database is more concerned with relational data and not what blobs are. They just take up space in our database, and it's not a particularly efficient place to retrieve files from. And of course we need to worry about disk space regarding our database. Where are we hosting this database? Is it on our own server? Are we using a cloud service? And we do need to be concerned about how much space we're taking up, because whilst disk space is not expensive, it is something to think about. When our database runs out of space, where does our data then go when we want to create new data? Well, we don't have an option, of course. But authentication would be easy in this scenario because it's just like adding any other resource to our database. Another option that you could have is you could just use the file system. And a file system is obviously a good place for storing files. That's what it's designed for. But we do need to, again, think about disk space when it comes to the file system, because each image is going to consume space on our server. Now, if our server runs out of space, if we're hosting our own server, then that's going to cause problems, and it will crash our application when our server can no longer write to the file system. Also, this removes some flexibility about where we can host our application. Are we going to use a cloud service, for example, to host our application? Do we have permission to save files from our API to whatever hosting solution we're going for? So it's something else to think about. The most flexible option is to use a cloud service. This is highly scalable, could be more expensive depending on how many images you're going to be hosting in the cloud service, and we use an API key to secure the communication between our API server and the cloud service itself, and then we only need to be concerned about the user authentication to our API, and then everything else, the communication between our API and the cloud service, would be secured with an API key. So if we take a look at the architecture, then our business logic is once again contained in our application. But does our application layer need to know or care about where our images are being stored? Does it need to know about the cloud service we're going to use? Does it care if it's a cloud service or if it's a file system, or even if we were using our database to store these images? Well, the idea behind our clean architecture is no, our application should not care where we're storing our photos, and all it needs is a method that allows it to use an upload photo method or upload image method, and it doesn't care how that happens. All it wants to get back is an ID and a URL of where to get the photo and the ID of the photo so it can be deleted if needed. And that's the approach we're going to take. Our photo upload will create a photo upload service that's going to be stored in our infrastructure project, and our application then doesn't need to care about any of the implementation details. All it needs to care about is saving the URL of the image and its ID into the database. So our users are going to have a collection of photos, and if we take a look at the relationships that we have and what we're about to have between our different tables that we care about in our database. So we've already got a relationship between our activities and our users via a join table, which is the activity attendees. What we're also going to have is a one-to-many relationship between our users and the photos. And this is what we're going to be creating in this section. So if we take a look at the before and after, and we're only going to take a look at the after scenario because we don't have a way to upload images just now. And by the end of this section, when we log in as a user and click on send, then we're going to get the user's main image returned when we do log in. Also, if we go and get the activities, let's go to an earlier section, and we click on send, then all of our attendees that have images are going to have this image set as well. And of course, we're going to be able to upload an image and save it to a user's profile. And if we go into this request to add a photo and select a file, and we can send, then we're going to send this up to a cloud service and we're going to get a response back with the newly uploaded image, URL, and whether or not our photo is the main photo. So this is what we're working towards in this section.